ever played poker, I think this is the best analogy. I used this yesterday. You might have a great hand, and you might try to bet big using whatever hand you have. Someone could have a better hand out there. So when I saw the long positions here through the break of the Australia session lows yesterday, and then that push up, very good chance that buyers could have taken it up just off the back that were bullish, off the back that we're still creating higher lows, and off the back that this wick rejection was perfect, for the longs. But then if you step up to the higher time frames, we had a 4-hour resistance level. So we talked about this, where every time the market gets up to the 16,690, every time the market gets here to the 16,690, sellers step in. So it's not about, oh, the price is overextended, or I think that the market is due for a retracement. Those are all just guesses, I would say. Instead, if you just look at market behavior and look at the historical information on the left, every time the market gets up to this price, sellers step in, except for right here. So if the market is above the zone, typically buyers step in. If it's below the zone, sellers have control. Saw all of these rejections, and then we ended up having this kind of triple top here. So the 4-hour resistance level, daily 88.6, you guys see the 88.6 right here, 3 touches. Those were what I would say a higher probability confirmation than the 1-hour action that was being shown here. So that's why I always tell people to prioritize structure over candlestick price action. If you're looking at price patterns here, for example, like right here, some people will notice like a fair value gap or whatever they're looking for. Some people will notice, like for us, we kind of look at the boxes. So I'm looking to sell at the top of the box and buy at the bottom of the box. So price action can be misleading because candle by candle is going to give you different reads and different signs that might not be fully accurate. Instead, if you go up to the higher time frame structure and say, are we at resistance or support? Okay, if it's buy low and sell high, it made sense for us to be selling towards the top of the range. So selling made more sense in that situation there. Took some short positions yesterday. Basically, I just drew my fib from the top to bottom, and then we had 88.6. Okay, hit TP1, broke through TP2. I don't know if we're going to hit TP3 now because the sellers have really started to slow down. Maybe it's just kind of resetting before we get some action going into the end of the session here, but we'll see. Welcome back, everybody. If you're watching this live, good morning for another Market Open stream hosted by Chart Addicts. We got 3 very important news events we're going to cover, and then of course I'm live trading, so I'll be going through that. And of course, if you guys stick around, I'm going to show you a very important tool called the Fed Watch tool from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the CME group. This is basically like a probability thing. It will track the probability of different rate cut decisions by the Fed. So if there's like a 95% chance of one thing happening versus the next, the Fed Watch tool has been pretty accurate, in the past few years. So I'll show you guys. Right now, there's an expectation of no rate cuts in January, but then a potential rate cut in March. Since that CPI print last week, the probability of the rate cut in March has started to get lower. So we'll be looking at the CME Group website and using that Fed Watch tool to see what the market is pricing in. Okay. We'll also be talking about the peace summit that Ukraine just proposed. So they want Switzerland to host a peace summit, which kind of just shows the end of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. I think Ukraine is starting to admit that it doesn't really have a great chance of winning this war, and that the longer they keep this going, the more devastating it's going to be. So peace talks are there. The Houthis have attacked a U.S. ship off the coast of the Red Sea, and now many countries are getting involved, and the Houthis made a very clear warning, so did Iran, that if this thing is to escalate, they're very happy to escalate. And so we're going to be talking about that, escalation versus containment. And of course, my guy, Vivek Ramaswamy, has dropped out of the presidential race after they jibbed him in the Iowa caucus yesterday. We got Trump won the Iowa caucus with no surprise. Very big surprise, though. Ron DeSantis comes in second place, and Nikki Haley comes in third. All right? So we'll be talking about those news events. Right now, it's 3 minutes to market open. Let me show you the 2 options that I'm looking at. So we have a scalp opportunity, which, as you guys can see, we have the low of yesterday's range. We had this liquidity grab that went through the range. And then we have this very weak retest. We didn't exactly come back to retest the floor. Very, very weak retest. What I'm looking for at the market open is for price to clear back into this range so I can buy it right here. So I know that I went through the higher time frame price action, higher time frame structure, excuse me, and showed you the highs and lows that make the most sense to trade on a higher time frame. What I'm doing though, when I'm trading market open and looking at my custom session of 10 a.m. to about 12 to about noon, really I'm just looking at the smaller time frame ranges. I found the low here. I have the high right here. And then what do you guys think I'm going to do? It's buy low and sell high. Which side of the trade do you guys think I'm going to leverage higher into, or I'm going to position higher into? I'm going to have a bigger size. It's going to be the one in the direction of the overall trend. So I'm going to go a little bit more aggressive on the buys than I do on the sells. Yesterday, we took short positions at the top of the range. So if you guys remember this from the Sunday market outlook, which is posted on our page for everyone to check, we do these Sunday outlooks to show you the kind of like the outlook for the entire week. The trades I'm watching, the levels that I have on my chart, these are the same exact levels. When I took a sell position yesterday, it was off the same levels that we had talked about on Sunday. And hopefully Discord doesn't make me have to sign in again. Oh, there we go. Jensen, this is crazy if you're watching this. I saw that you got slipped into a better position and your entry is, I'm having a lot of trouble understanding that one. Okay, this was the idea from Sunday. So you guys can see the sells were all the way up here at the top, which is, hold on, give me a sec. Yeah, 890. So 16,890 was the sells. And then we also have buys at these 4-hour ranges. And so when I took the sells, it was off that same level that we had called. Okay, got about, and it hit TP for me last night because I set a pretty conservative take profit. I don't like to set these, very generous take profits overnight because then you'll wake up, you'll check your phone, you'll realize that you're in profit or you were in profits at like 3 in the morning and then it reversed on you, which is not something that I'm looking forward to. So this is the position. Kind of had to hold through a bunch of drawdown. Ended up getting a nice push. This is last night, right before I went to sleep. I ended up securing partial profits. I moved my stop loss to break even. You guys can see I'm still holding these longs from last week. Kind of just swinging this running position. And then I had about 6 lots running into this morning. I think I might have posted it in the other chat, but I had a hard TP at 700. It was at 16,700. I'm just trying to find this real quick. Okay, yeah, this was last night at 10:42. I said partial profits are booked before I go to sleep. My stop loss is in break even. I'm setting a hard take profit at 16,700. So set that take profit, woke up. You guys can see the trade was from 16,830 to 16. The average was 757 because if you take partial profits at like 800 and then you take the rest of your profits at 700, it's gonna archive the average of all the different TPs. And so this is the average TP that I had, but I did set a hard take profit at 16,700 last night. Okay. So we had a beautiful push down, and then now what we saw is a higher low getting formed on the smaller time frames. So I did not take this trade because as you guys can see, I was waiting for one more push down. Oh my God, I don't like that number. Okay, 16,668. I was waiting for one more push down at the market open, and then I was going to take the better entry down here. Now, is it worth missing a trade? Show you the difference here. So this would have been my trade idea, which is a 3.5 to 1. Beautiful, take profit at the extension. When we all got on this stream today, this is where the market was, sitting right there. So you guys tell me the difference between a 3.5 to 1 R versus a 1.3 to 1 R, right? That's the difference. So it's not about I'm missing the trade and I have to catch this trade. The priority here is the risk and reward. And if my risk and reward is going to get cut in half because I want to chase this trade, it's better for me to just let it go. That's why, as part of the rules, part of the top 10 rules that I have for trading NASDAQ that I cover in the NAS Masterclass, part of those rules is it's better to miss a trade than to chase a trade. And the reason for that is not because of just the mental piece and like making sure that you're not taking bad entries. It's really mostly for the R&R. You get a bad entry, you're going to pay for it with a shitty R&R. So this is the trade idea for me. Okay. Now we are coming up to this daily resistance zone. And so if we clear this whole level and then it wicks and it closes back under this resistance, I'm taking another short position. That's the only circumstance I would take a short, because I think that we've already had this sell, then we had a weak sell, and then we tried, but we created a higher floor. What this shows me is that sellers are trying to push the market down. They keep trying to push the market down, but they don't have enough steam to even break this level. And every time they try, buyers step back in with more volume. So the story of the market is very important. You do want to look at just the facts, which is we're at resistance. If it's buy low, sell high, I don't necessarily want to be buying anywhere in this area. But you also have to kind of create a narrative or a story about what the market is doing in order to have a full picture. If the market is trying to break, it shows that buyers tried to push the market. And every time they tried, sellers took back over. So it's still a buyer's market, but right now sellers are giving them some trouble at this zone. That's a narrative that I can keep in my mind and understand. I say all that to say, there's my buy. I'm not really taking sells unless we go all the way through and then wick back under. That I will take for sure, because that means sellers are going to step in heavy here. And then the biggest position I'm looking at today is just this. This is my trade for today. We're going to be on this stream as we do usually. I'm going to be here for about an hour with you guys. The weather is gorgeous down here in Florida. I have tons of things lined up. Some very important announcements for the FX Summit and for the World Tour that we're about to be starting in March. So real quick, comment section, let me know what cities we should hit on the World Tour. We're going to be doing a two-part tour in March. And just in case you guys don't know what this tour is about, this is our chance to kind of bring that same essence and that same energy of the FX Summit everywhere in the world. These are going to be completely free. We are going to pay for these out of our own pocket. We're going to bring some of the biggest known traders in these cities that you guys are recommending to us. And then we're going to go and do free events where everybody can just show up and ask real questions in person, in real time, and get solid feedback. And then hopefully everybody can realize how beneficial it is to talk to some other traders, to be in a room surrounded with people who have similar interests, who are doing and on the same path as you. So I think this world tour is going to be absolutely phenomenal. I want to know which cities you guys want us to hit. The March tour is going to be focused on Western Hemisphere. So we might hit Canada, few spots in America, maybe California, Vegas, a few spots we haven't hit yet. We'll also be going to Puerto Rico, perhaps maybe in Mexico. I'm not sure. If we do Mexico, I don't even know where we would go. I'm assuming Mexico City, but I have no idea because I've never really talked to a lot of our Mexican fans out there and just the Mexican traders. But if we go South America, we might hit maybe Peru, Venezuela. We'll see how it looks if we go to South America. Don't think it's in the cards. Now, in May and June, we're going to be hitting a full global tour. So we're going to be doing the UK. We're hitting a few cities in the UK. We're going to do Manchester. We're going to do Chelsea. We're going to do Liverpool. And then we're going to go hit Portugal. We're going to go hit Spain. We're going to hit Germany, Italy, and then we'll see. We have a few African countries that we wanted to hit. We're going to have to see how the tour unfolds, but that's the number one priority. We have a ton of folks from South Africa that want us to go. We have a ton of folks from Nigeria that want us to go. And then I forgot what the last one was. I think it was Ghana or one of those, or it might have been Ghana. I know it was somewhere out west.
It was Ghana.
It was Ghana? Done deal. We got South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and then we had some North African countries too. We had some people from Turkey that want us to pull up. So I think we're going to stick to the main 7 to 10 spots on our tour, but I want to hear you guys' feedback. Okay, so we're going to be on here for about an hour. Like I said, We're going to be live trading as usual. I'm going to be waiting for this trade to show up. You'll get a live, excuse me, damn. You guys will get a live view of what it takes to have patience in the morning while waiting for a trade. So typically what I would do is, if I was sitting here by myself, which is kind of how I've been enjoying the last 2 weeks, minding my own business and just, making decisions from my own account, not having to worry about anything else, is I would just be doing research in the meantime, and I was just having alerts opened up. So here's exactly how I would do it. Every time the market hits that zone, I want to get an alert here. The alert is now created. What I'm also going to do is draw a fib to the very top of the range because I want to know when we hit the 88.6 again. Add an alert up here, hit it every time, done deal. So now I can actually just delete the rest of my tools. I can patiently wait for my entry, and I don't have to keep watching candle by candle because most people underestimate this. Not taking a trade still requires you to make a decision. It still requires you to put in mental energy to not take a trade. Every candlestick that I have to read and make a decision on, to either let it go or to take an entry or to be a little bit more attentive, is driving me to put my focus and my energy onto this trade. If I want to save my decision-making skills, I can go do something that does not require that part of my brain, something analytical, for example, something creative, for example, something social, for example. And then when I get back on the charts, I don't feel like I've exhausted myself for the hour and a half I've been on. I still feel like I'm just as fresh as when I first got on the charts. So don't waste a lot of movements. And I learned this from fighting, is that if you're going to be kind of like a little bit too antsy and you're always moving and you're just kind of scared to get hit and you're kind of just throwing too many reads, one round in, you're going to be so tired that whoever you're sparring against or fighting against is just going to piece you up after. You're too tired, your technique starts to suffer. There's nothing worse than being tired and then having to make decisions in a high stress environment. Take trading. If you're tired trying to make decisions in a high stress environment, like that's how you get crushed. That's how you make stupid decisions. And so instead of being too antsy, just don't waste a lot of movements. Don't waste a lot of energy. Only do it when you need to. Stay in a good flow. And that's the same thing that I would recommend. And now I recommend, this is not financial advice, but this is personally something that has helped me just have better mental peace and just make better decisions on the charts. Okay. And everybody can pretend like, like the trading does not happen on social media or on in front of people, whatever. The trading happens when you're alone, when you're watching these trades, and when you're choosing whether to follow your plan and be like, oh, well, that guy Roy was saying that waiting for your prime entry is the best way to go. And it's better to miss the trade than to sit there and chase it and feel like you have to be in. Okay? Logically makes sense. Then you're by yourself having to make decisions, and all of a sudden you enter a trade you're not supposed to. And now instead of closing the trade, unwinding it, and saving yourself the headache, now you're kind of praying that it goes back in your favor. Now you're entering random positions or whatever. That's where the trading counts. That's where all the hard work pays off, is when you're by yourself and when you're taking a trade. So what I'm trying to do here is set a good example of what it looks like to actually wait for your prime entry, to have so much confidence in your trading system that you're willing to wait, you're willing to miss a trade because there's a good chance it's coming back for you. All right. So I'm reading some of the messages here for the Chart Addicts chat. US 30 buys just hit take profit. Good shit. Mike says, come to Medellin. I'm down, bro. Colombia is always somewhere to visit. Vancouver, we got a ton of folks in Canada, right? I got about 24 hours that I could allocate towards Canada before I have to go back to freedom. All right. All right, 24 hours and then it's done. Jacques says New York. That's a tough one, brother. No, we crushed New York. New York was a lot of fun. I saw Max. I mean, look, Max told me the same thing. Max said, come to Canada. I said, brother, if you want to come see me, I'm going to be in New York on this date. And Max came down to New York, and I was like, see, ain't this so much better? Now we can fucking meet on fair ground. You can have somewhere, a common place. All right, don't
Shout
forget
out
we're
all the
still
New
gonna be.
Yorkers.
All right, Gali just got back from New York. He was having a pizza tour. He said he's living good, so he has probably nice things to say. Gali, the food is the only thing. All right, and I can get good food anywhere else without the wind tunnels, without the crackheads, right? Now there's still crackheads down here. I mean, but without the wind tunnels, right? All right, just a quick reminder, everybody, we will be covering news. There is a peace summit that's been proposed by Ukraine to Switzerland to host some kind of conference between Ukraine and Russia. And let's put this thing behind us. The majority of the fighting age population in Ukraine has been decimated. Now, in case you guys don't know, the fighting age men in a society are the backbone of the society to help rebuild, right? Because now they have a bunch of women in this country. Who is going to help rebuild the society? Who's going to, father more children? Who's going to do all the tough and hard jobs? Who's going to build the infrastructure, et cetera, without having to import labor? And so really, war crushes not only the social fabric of a country, it devastates the economy and it devastates the potential for a future. So I'm really praying that as much as we talk about, oh, we got to stop supporting Ukraine and this and that, but I don't want to see any country have their fighting age men absolutely decimated for any reason. So I'm praying those peace talks do come in and there's some resolution forward. This is bad news. Everybody in the world told Putin, you can't do this and you can't do that. And he just did. And nobody's doing shit about it. And NATO is really walking back to kind of the border of that conflict with their tail between their legs. So now what's going to stop China from taking Taiwan? Really, it's nothing. And so this has become a pretty big deal here. The Houthis attacked a U.S. ship. Who are the Houthis? We're going to talk about that here in a sec. We're going to talk about the parties involved. That one I'm actually pretty hopeful for because everybody has a vested interest in the kind of the Arabian Peninsula and that Arabian region, including China, including Europe, because this is going to really impact European supply chains more than ours. And this is going to significantly impact the price of moving goods around, which is an inflation risk. Because now instead of being able to cut through the Red Sea, they have to go all the way around. And that's just going to take 20% more time, which is going to slow down all supply chains. So it's going to be a pretty big deal there. But I do think that gets resolved because now you have Dubai, you have Europe. Oh, it's not Dubai. You have Saudi Arabia and the Arabian states. You have Europe, China, and the US all on the same page about supply chain routes and keeping inflation down. So I think that they deal with that conflict. Iran has started to talk about some forms of escalation here. The war or the onslaught at this point in Gaza is still ongoing. Something like 30,000 people have already been killed in the airstrikes. And this is something that is really starting to take, the longer this continues, the harder it is for Israel to make its case. The global community has completely shifted over to the point of like, all right, now we got to start having some peace talks. But there are extremists on both sides that are all or nothing. Okay, and so this is something that we're going to have to see play out, which is, are the extremists all or nothing parties, are parts of these parties going to win, or will cooler heads prevail? And then also Vivek drops out of the Republican primary race, fully endorsing Donald Trump. We got DeSantis came in second place, and then Nikki Haley came in third. We're going to talk about the implications of those. Let me know if you guys have any further questions. I do have one very special announcement. We got a new speaker for the FX Summit. We haven't been releasing the speaker list. We've been trying to pack them up, and then drop them, kind of in a surprise all at once, kind of shock the entire Forex space. But you guys made it to the live streams. Congratulations. Let me show you. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this guy. You might have seen him on a meme or two. It's called the Wall Street Einstein, or the Einstein of Wall Street. He's the most famous stock trader. If you guys watch movies, if you guys see commercials, if you guys see any type of promotion for Wall Street, you've seen Peter. And he's a stock trader up there on the exchange. Potential speaker at the FX Summit. I'm not going to say too much, but you guys get the drill. This year's lineup is going to be crazy. Okay, this one is just more about, it's just a little bit more for fun, if we're going to be real. That one is more for fun. But we have some speakers showing up that have serious amount of pull and a serious amount of competence and context about where we are today and how we got here. Dr. Richard Olson is my favorite example. Okay, so you guys can see that we're using Awanda's price feed here, which is one of the largest Forex brokers in the world, if not the largest. Dr. Olson started Awanda back in the 1990s. Okay, the original name was Olson and Associates, and then he basically created the framework that we use now for ECN brokers, electronically controlled networks, being able to batch orders together so that we can all trade with lower size, being able to trade at home directly through an ECN network. So these kinds of people that we're bringing are not just some gimmick, and they're also not just people who run a fund somewhere and they have a hedge fund name next to their or title next to their name. These are people who have helped build the future, who have helped build all the infrastructure that we're using, and who have created some of the biggest partnerships, and they also saw the evolution of the space. So it's competence meets context, and that's what we're bringing to the FX Summit. Very excited for that. The Billionaire Hedge Funds panel is going to go crazy. I'm still putting together the prop firm panel. A lot of legal stuff going on, so these guys haven't fully confirmed whether the prop firm CEOs are going to do a panel together. They've expressed their interest, but they have not expressed their commitment because of all the BS that's happening. So we're going to talk, we'll be announcing more speakers as time goes on. In case you guys don't know what the hell I'm talking about, the FX Summit is the largest financial conference for traders, investors, and crypto. It's hosted by us. The first 2 years, we had a massive blowout event. We almost tripled the attendance. We tripled the amount of exhibitors and sponsors and brands that have come to support. And in 2024, we're taking the conference to Dubai for the most exciting event that we could have possibly put together. So I hope you guys are ready for that. I want to see all of you out there in Dubai to come meet some of the biggest names. I want to bring the most legit traders in the space. We're going to talk about the Umars and some of these other folks to come out and speak. And of course, the panels are just taking another level. We're going to have a Binance and the kind of the large crypto exchange panels with Binance, Coinbase, and some of the other folks. We're going to have very exciting panels between the regulated brokers with Oanda, Forex.com, Ava, Saxo, if they agree to speak together. If not, then they'll probably just speak alone. And then, of course, we have Bob Elliott, top economist for Ray Dalio for over a decade. He's going to be doing a macroeconomics masterclass, like an educational session on how to understand macroeconomics. And then he's going to have a panel discussion with his boys about where the economy is going in 2025 so we can all be positioned effectively. This next year is going to be an absolute groundbreaker, and I'm very excited. What's going on with prop firms? Well, the US regulatory environment has become too harsh for brokers and prop firms to even want to associate here. So what we're doing, or what we're seeing, is some firms are getting hit with a little bit too many requests from the regulators, so they're just leaving. And some other firms, like I think this is what happened with FTMO, is they're being proactive, knowing that there's a bunch of heat coming their way, or there's a bunch of heat coming to the industry in general. I think that they are positioning themselves to just not have to deal with it by just no longer serving US clients and just keeping their business open. So I think that the US environment, am I in buys? No, not yet. I'm waiting for price to do this. Okay, so we still have, if you guys just kind of think this through with me, how many candles do we have until the market reaches down here? I would say at least 1 to 2 candles, which is going to be 2 hours. So I'm hanging out here. You guys can see the dotted, these kind of like serrated or perforated lines right here. These are alerts, price alerts that I've put up. When the market breaks through and touches that zone, I will be notified and I'll be able to get in this trade. Okay. All right, guys. So let's go through these news stories one by one. First, I want to show you guys the CME Fed tool projections right here. So the CME is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which is one of the largest exchanges in the country. So you guys can see there's the NYMEX, the New York Mercantile Exchange, there's the NYSE, the New York Stock Exchange, there's the NASDAQ, there's the Dow Jones, there is the CME. So like these are going to be some of the largest aggregators of information. Aggregating means that they just take all the info in one place and are able to, create indices like the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones 30 or whatever these other indices are. But they also have enough data to make predictions about what they think the Fed is going to do. So you guys can see the predictions here. So they're forward looking for every Fed meeting. You guys can see the probability of where the rate is going to be at each of these different dates. So at the January Fed meeting, there's a 95% chance that the federal funds rate is going to stay between 5.25%, and 5.5%. Hold on. Would you say that it's smart to get out of funded accounts? I wouldn't say good morning, Pops. Good to see you on here. Hope you're having a good day. Would you say that it's smart to get out of funded accounts? Not really. Okay. I mean, I would definitely look at the next move, but nobody is doing funded accounts because it's just like that's the only option left. We were doing funded accounts because I can either put 5,000. I can put $1,000 into a fund into a broker, excuse me, or I can buy a $200,000 challenge. Now, as we all know, you have a 10% maximum risk with your 200K, meaning that you have a $20,000 account. So would I rather put $1,000 in a broker, or would I rather get access to $20,000? Okay, I'd rather get access to $20,000. Like nobody was getting the funded accounts because they were the only option. It just makes so much sense. All right, let's do another one. If you have $100 to your name, do you think that you can really, really make something happen with $100 in an unregulated broker? You can. We've all had to do it. I was trading for years before prop firms came around, but I can promise you that you're going to have to put up way more risk. You're going to have to build a lot of bad habits to really do something with that $100. Now, let's say that you went and bought a 50K challenge or a 20K challenge. Then you would have access to $2,000 in your account, not $100. So that's the reason why prop firms, I think, are still a great model. Now, we all need an exit ramp. And so really the play was to use the funded accounts to fund a live account, or to use the funded accounts to keep diversifying between different firms. That way, if one of them goes under, you have an alternative. That's what I think that we should all be doing. The problem with these firms is that it sometimes takes 60, 90 days, sometimes even more, 120 days with no time limit to pass these challenges. And then to get all the way through and to make it to that first payout. So to do all that and then to have the firm disappear in 3 months and you just wasted 90 days of your life, it's a very hard pill to swallow. So I'm learning a lot from some of the top funded traders, like Kyle and some of these guys. Dude, Kyle is saying that he spent over 6 figures on funded accounts, on challenges. I haven't spent more than five. I would say like 5 to 7 grand, I think. No, that's not true. I'd say I spent about 7 grand on funded challenges. So that means my trading is fine. I need to go get more capital. I got to go get more accounts. I got to go get an account with each of these firms and not just really stick to one firm if I want to have the capital I'm looking for. So I think that that's the name of the game, is instead of just shying away from the prop firms, do more due diligence to figure out which ones are going to be here in 12 months. I don't care which one's going to be here in 3 years. Keep this in mind, because the regulatory environment is going to change so aggressively between now and then that these firms on the top 10 list will not be the firms of the future. Maybe 1 or 2 of them will survive. So I'm really just looking at who's going to be around long enough for me to get these big ass payouts to be able to sustain me, to make a good living, and then to also invest in more accounts in the future. So that's kind of the math I'm doing now. Now, as I do that and as I acquire more capital, I'm going to put that into a regulated broker. And I want to start trading a Forex account on Oanda just to have a regulated long-term track record. And then I also want to trade on a few futures brokers or futures prop firms so I can keep trading NASDAQ from anywhere. Okay, hope that makes sense. Let me finish this breakdown for the Fed tool. CME is not a broker, it's an exchange like the New York Stock Exchange. They have access to all this broker data, which allows them to make these predictions. So this is kind of like a pretty good table. Let you see how many days until the meetings. So we have 15 days until the next Fed meeting, 64 days until the March meeting, 106 days until the May meeting. Then we have the June, July, let's call it September, November, and then December meetings. So here's the likelihood of a no change. 95% chance that the rate remains the same. There's a 68% chance now that there's going to be a rate cut in March. There's a 67% chance right now of another rate cut in May. There's a 56% chance of another 25 basis point rate cut in June. 50% chance, 50%, 44, 37. Okay? That we're going to continue to have these rate cuts. The market is pricing at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cuts. So like the chances of something happening, 7 cuts out of the 8 meetings. Now that ain't gonna freaking happen. These will all adjust as we get closer to the dates. Let me tell you, I think that I'm expecting 4 rate cuts this year. 3 very expected. Anything more than 3, I think that is going to take a stretch from the Fed to pull that one off. Top Step offers futures funded accounts. Okay, guys, I'm not going to promote any specific firm. What I'm going to do is any prop firm, I will make you guys a promise, just for the sake of really, really trying to push the ball forward and really trying to be as straight as possible, is I will do all of these challenges live in front of everybody. And so we can all see the shit live. If there's any rules that get violated, if we trade through news, if there's any latency, self-dealing, freezes, if there's any slippage or spread manipulation, we will all be able to see it in real time. So you don't have to waste your money and go to these different firms. What I will do is I'll put up my own funds, do it live, so we can all see the conditions. Take it all the way to the payout. If they pay out without making excuses, if they pay out without the KYCing me to death, if they pay out without trying to find some rule somewhere in the background that we may have violated, then I think I'll feel comfortable saying, hey, this firm is worth going into. Okay? So I'm not going to recommend the food until I try it. And I told you guys, I'm not going to be playing this soft game where I'm only doing one challenge at a time. I really need to use my skill sets to be able to manage multiple accounts, like a portfolio. All right. Some people are recommending me to do a copy trader. I'm not going to do that. You know, where you have one main account, you link up a bunch of different accounts. Every trade you take on the main gets affected on the rest of them. I don't want to do that. Okay. Because all of a sudden I get kicked off the platform for using a copy trader or using some kind of EA or whatever. Not doing that. Let's go through a little bit more news here. Okay. We talked about Ukraine. We talked about the Houthis and some kind of escalation there. Let's talk about Vivek dropping out. So yesterday was the Iowa caucus, which is the first election for the Republican primaries. In case you guys are not from America, here's how the political system works. Each of the 2 parties chooses their main candidate. Okay, so each party has something called like a convention, which is like a committee that chooses the main candidate. You guys can see that these, like the RNC, which is the Republican National Convention, and then the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, they put up these primary votes or these primary elections in every state in the country. Everybody votes. They get basically enough delegates behind one candidate, and whoever wins the primary goes head to head against the other candidate from the other party. The problem is that these people have way too much power, and you guys can see what happened when Clinton was supposed to be the nominee and Bernie Sanders was crushing her in the polls. They just straight up kicked Bernie Sanders off the ballot, said, hey, take a seat or else you're not going to get reelected in any state. He had to take a back seat, and he was sitting there blown as fuck. They completely did him dirty. He had to endorse Hillary Clinton in a video, and just for Hillary Clinton to lose to Trump. So they literally sidelined a candidate that the whole country kind of was getting behind. And then, I mean, listen, I don't agree with Bernie's policies, but at the same time, they jibbed a man who really had massive support behind him. Same thing is happening. So the Republican National Convention, they tried to kick Trump out. They were trying to prop up Marco Rubio and all types of Ted Cruz and all types of Jeb Bushes. Bro, Trump wiped the floor with every single person that they tried to prop up. They were putting hundreds of millions of dollars into the Rubio and Ted Cruz and Jeb Bush campaigns, and Trump wiped the floor with them. So there are these outsider candidates that can have serious pull outside of the Democratic convention. Vivek was one of those people. All right, he kept talking about Ronna McDaniel and calling her out, who is the head of the Republican convention. He was calling out the media. He'd get on stages and just basically talk about how they're trying to keep Trump off the ballots, and they did him dirty. If you guys go see the polls that Fox and CNN were doing in Iowa, they only listed 3 candidates. It was Trump, Haley, and DeSantis. Now, that makes it seem like Vivek dropped out, right? Because Chris Christie is not on there. They put this random fucking dude, Asa Hutchinson, up there for some reason. And so I think that this was a deliberate attempt for payback for all the stuff that Vivek had said about them. And I understand, Vivek, you cannot go out here and call out a bunch of things that are wrong and not expect the whole thing to turn on you when it's time. Trust me, I get him. But at the same time, the guy stuck to his guns because he knows what he's talking about. And I think that this is a massive L for the country because Nikki Haley is a complete waste of space on that stage. Ron DeSantis is a great operator and one of the best executives of a state, and I really want him to stay in Florida, but he has no business going into national politics because he's going to get eaten alive by any foreign adversary that we go against. Zelensky would eat DeSantis alive. Okay? The guy doesn't speak his mind. He's always reading canned speeches. He might be a great vice president. But both of them being on the ballot is completely a waste of time. The only person that was adding something of value, articulating a clear vision forward, was Vivek. And now that he had to drop out of the race, he just basically said, there's no shot of me winning. I'm not going to keep doing this and putting up my own money, and I know we're not going to win. So he put all of his kind of support behind Trump, and I think that he's going to get Trump is just going to pick up those votes. This is the fucking country we live in, people, where Nikki Haley can get more votes than Vivek, even though she wants to send us to war for no fucking reason, to places that she can't find on a map, right? You guys remember Vivek called her out? And he was like, name 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that you want to send our sons and daughters to go fight for. We're waiting. She was talking about, we got to go support Ukraine. We got to support them. Name 3 fucking cities in Ukraine. She couldn't. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. Like, these are people who are going to die because of these decisions, and this is who we have in power today. And I think it's a sad reality. Now, I'm as big of a fan of Trump as the next guy. He's fucking 80 years old. Have you guys ever talked to an 80-year-old? Right? If I can run around his desk 3 times and the guy gets so dizzy, he's got a fucking headache. How the fuck is he supposed to lead the country? What are we doing here, people? We're going to throw the country away for a gimmick. I fuck with Trump. But we have somebody that we need that 4 or 5, we need somebody that's got years in the game. 4 years from now, Trump is going to be old. Too old. All right, let's go back through some of these trades. Another beautiful 88.6 rejection on gold. Wow. Just wow. Went over this on the Sunday Outlook. You guys can go check that one out. I hear a lot of talk about US 30. Oh my. Oh my. I haven't traded US 30 in a very long time, but today might be the day. 2.5 to 1 R&R. Yeah, sign me up for this. This is looking good. Make sure I got my fib drawn right. Beautiful. I like that a lot. Okay. Thank you, Roy. VPN, an option to overcome US location. Using a VPN to circumvent regulatory crackdown is illegal, my friend. And if you think I'm going to sit here and propose anything that's illegal and that can get you in trouble, you're out of your fucking mind. Look at every single thing I've ever said on these live streams. I've always tried to promote doing things responsibly because even like things like paying taxes. Now, you make a lot of money, you don't pay your taxes, they're coming for you. So I would never propose anybody to go use a VPN to try to circumvent these laws. Instead, we got to play by the rules. Like, as much as people want to talk shit, this is what our obligation is with the FX Summit, is we are trying to create an industry that can be legit enough to take to the national stage, to have regulators support us, to actually build some kind of environment where we can live in. Right now, crypto is fighting like hell to get a regulatory environment in America. And we have the FX industry doing goddamn everything to break the laws. And we got to make sure, not break the laws, but to kind of play in gray areas. And so I don't want to enable any more of that behavior. I think that everybody should do research on how you're supposed to be trading in these jurisdictions and stick to this. All right, stick to it. And because we're going to figure this out, we're going to get out of this fog of not knowing what's going to come next in the Forex space. And then once we start to get regulators involved in a good way to work with them to understand what the fuck they want and to play by that rule set, then I think that everything's going to open back up. That's my take, personally. Don't do shit that's going to get you in trouble. The 30-minute doesn't have a wick yet, so usually it means it's going to continue down. Not always, but most of the time. I get that for sure. Could be creating a wick on the 4 hour and push back up into the range. Yeah. So the reason to enter off of this wick would be because if you look at the 30-minute, for example, and I completely feel you. You got a closure below the lows. You're creating that wick. The thing is, the more that you wait for price to push up, the worse of an R and R you're going to get. So if you wait for that confirmation, which ideally would be a break above this whole consolidation here, you have to have a break above, maybe even a break above 37,500, and then a pullback, you're going to be somewhere up in this range, which is going to give you a pretty horrible R&R. And so that would be the only justification to enter now versus waiting for the full confirmation. But you're right, Bryce. No rejection, no entry. Probably a good bet with that. I'm not a US 30 trader, but I would have already been in this trade. Just going to be honest with you.
Yeah, I took the buys earlier this morning, hit it 2 to 1, and I'm up 1.5%. So I'm just being patient.
Okay, yeah. It's a lot easier to be patient with the trade when you woke up in profits, right?
For sure.
Like, Roy, how are you waiting 45 minutes for this trade? It's like, well, I made more overnight than I did in the past 3 or 4 trading days, like being awake. Pretty easy. Just take my foot off the trigger for a little bit and not be too quick to jump back in. But good stuff, right? Good patch earlier this morning.
Thank you, brother.
Why do you think Trump stabbed Vivek in the back? I don't think he did, but basically Trump and Vivek are on the same team, that America First movement team. But I think that Vivek was sly trying to take votes away from Trump, which he kind of was. A lot of the America First crowd who kind of understands my way of thinking, which is Trump is old as shit. As much as we love him, we do need someone who can articulate a vision of the future and really give some actionable plans. Like I would sit Ukraine and Russia down and get it done in a day. I believe him. Like I believe that Trump could do that. But motherfucker, how? Like do something. Tell me something. And Vivek was that person that really was articulating that vision forward. And so they were on the same side, but they were taking votes away from each other. Trump or Vivek never insulted Trump once on the trail. As soon as it came time for the primaries, he realized he had to make a move. He had to get a lot of the Trump voters to be on his side. And so he started throwing a few digs at Trump. And that's when Trump was like, look, we never had beef before, but that's when Ramaswamy, that's when he just had to basically put him in his place because he can't just allow Vivek to take his votes. This is politics at the end of the day. But they both congratulated each other after. Vivek actually called Trump after, according to both of them, and congratulated him. And then Trump gave Vivek his full support. So I think that they're boys. I think Vivek still has a shot to be VP. I think that Vivek still has a shot to be the, foreign affairs minister or minister of education, like some secretary of education or something. But I think Vivek is going to go be a dominant leader in business in this country. And I think that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I hope this is not the start of Vivek's villain arc. All right. If we were to play out this movie real quick, this thing goes two ways. This guy puts up his own money. He goes 380 fucking individual rooms in Iowa. Have you guys ever done a tour of 380 anythings? No, none of us have. Dude, we did a countrywide tour of 8 cities earlier in 2023. And that felt like, we were doing hotels, living out of suitcase, city to city, barely any sleep, going around. God, I'm gonna tell you, after eight cities, I was pretty crushed. 380 freaking events in Iowa. That's more than all the other candidates combined. And he still lost somehow? People went out in the snow to vote for Nikki Haley. They were collecting these ballots in a brown paper bag. Snowed in. There wasn't anybody to overlap. Not, right? Can you guys not see how he'd be a little bit blown? They left him off of the polls on CNN and Fox. Crying out loud. They had a debate with Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley in Iowa like 3-4 days ago. Did you guys hear about that? Yeah, no, you did not. No one did. Trump had a rally, same exact time. People heard about that one. They left Vivek off the stage. That's why no one heard about it. So I really hope this is not the start of his villain arc where he's like, all right, I did so much to try to help America, but America clearly does not want this help. And then he kind of just turns his back on the shit. I hope he doesn't take that approach. because he's kind of justified to after how much shit has gone against him. But the man is a man of principle. I really hope that he makes it through. I think he set a very good example for the country about what does it look like to have someone competent that actually believes in this country. Everyone that's like claiming America first, kind of an idiot. Doesn't really make us look too hot. Vivek was talking about America first and then backing it up. I was like, yo, this is my guy, right? Put us on the map. No one can call Americans stupid anymore. It was covered. I don't know, guys. I know this is not a political show, but at the same time, this is the single most important election of anybody's lifetime. US 30 buys with the wick. With the wick. Yep. If you wait for that rejection, look at this. So we go from 2.6 to 1 R. And then if you wanted to wait for that rejection to get in, you're getting a 1.8 to 1 R. So if you're going to be risking $1,000, for example, or 100, okay, yeah, we'll do 1,000 first. You're going to be risking $1,000. Or you want to make 1,800 bucks, or do you want to make $2,600? Because I don't know about y'all, I'd rather make 2,600 bucks easily. That's the reason why entering early makes sense, because you can catch wick entries, have stops and break even, and you can have a much better risk to reward. Okay, beautiful rejection. That doesn't make, come on, man. Really? Doesn't want to come back down. That's so annoying. Okay. But DXY, while everybody's sitting here trying to figure out which way the DXY is going, we've already had our direction. The inverted head and shoulders got completed on Sunday. We talked about this. Hopefully, I talked about this enough to get this stuck in your memory. We got the magnet indicators for the visual so that you guys never forget top secret super indicators. The market just races to wherever the indicator is. It's like a cheat code. You put up the indicator, it just races there. Inverse head and shoulders. Perfect. And I also asked you guys on the Sunday outlook, where if the dollar is bullish, what can we do to make money? You guys said buy UJ and sell Euro USD. I have not checked Euro USD, but there it is. There's the sell. I said that I was personally waiting for a retest, but I also acknowledged that we had this selling area right here that the market was rejecting, and there was a good shot that we just crashed directly from there. I know that if you guys were on the Sunday outlook, that you remember me talking about this. And if you were not there, you can go back and watch the Sunday outlook from literally from 2 days ago, where all of these were covered. Every single one of these got covered. And you can go and check for yourself, that these were all called in advance. UJ not coming back. NASDAQ. I can't be mad. I should have caught this trade earlier this morning. What time was this? Never mind. That was 3 in the freaking morning. This is 5 a.m. Well, I mean, if I was David Goggins, I'd have caught this. Right? If I wanted to pull a Jocko Willink, I could have caught that trade. Yep. It is what it is, people. I don't chase. I wait. Okay? If it doesn't want to come back to my prime entry, so be it. It is the way the cookie crumbles. I missed it, and I made a rule. I'm not trading US 30 this year. Not chasing it. Beautiful. If you're not trading US 30, good for you. If you are trading US 30, good for you. Whatever rule you stick to, or whatever rule you decide that's best for your account, just make sure you stick to it. I don't care if you hold your trades or close them in blues. I don't care if you go for 1-to-1s or 1-to-2s. I care that you guys are following the plan. That rhymed. That was a haiku. Clip that. That was a haiku. Blew too many accounts. Said David Goggins shit only. Fuck with David Goggins. Now, I'm not going to lie. He did get disrespected heavily. If you guys are UFC fans, David Goggins got disrespected heavily by Paddy Pimblett. Right? David Goggins was training one of the fighters in the UFC to go up against Paddy. Pimblett, and he put this fighter, Tony Ferguson, through hell. Put him through hell week, no sleep, tons of cardio, all this stuff. And Patty Pimblett just looks at him in the press conference and goes, "After I knock your boy out, I'm gonna find David Goggins and just ask him who's gonna carry these boats, right? Who's gonna carry the boats? Because it ain't you." And he was right. You can do all the running, you can do all the jogging, you can do all that yelling in the mirror, but you got to focus on the skill set that's going to get you paid, right? Tony Ferguson should have been doing wrestling and striking because he was going in. He was going in like he was going into an MMA fight. He was out there doing all this cardio. So let's do with trading, same thing. If you guys are doing all the David Goggins shit, you're doing the ice baths and you're reading all the audios and you're watching all the podcasts and you're doing all the stuff and the whale noises and you're eating the flax seeds, but you're not back testing and you're not looking at your MetaTrader history and mapping those trades out. If you're not showing up to these streams and practicing your patience and diligence, if you're not prioritizing risk management, you're not going to fucking make money. You're not going to be the David Goggins of your sport. It doesn't work that way. Said, yeah, but fight camp is not hell week. Exactly. And neither is trading. You can do all the whale noises and all the stuff. But if you're not actually doing the trading, you're not putting yourself in a situation to be uncomfortable. If you're not upping your lots just, like incrementally, small at a time, but pushing yourself to new levels. I'm going to go for account sizes that are bigger this year. I'm going for multiple at a time. I need to push myself in that realm to be the best trader I can be. If I'm doing all this stuff, and don't get me wrong, rest and recovery is the majority of the game. But I'm not going to sit here and ignore the technical things that are going to make me successful. If I'm so tired from doing my morning routine that I'm not sharp on the charts, that's not the point. If your body is so crushed from Hell Week that you can't go into a sanctioned fight, that's not the point. Now, if you did just enough of the David Goggins stuff to tap into your mind and let yourself know that you are the toughest bastard, then that's going to help you in the fight. Same thing. If I do the same thing with trading, is if I do just enough of the outside work, if I do the cardio, if I do the personal mindset work, if I read the right books, just to the point where I feel confident enough to get here and perform, the performance is the priority. I'm not going to exhaust myself in the preparation to the point where I sacrifice the performance. Make sense? Yeah, guys, drop a like. There's 115 of you just watching, just waiting for something to happen, and you're not dropping a like. Drop a like. You ain't got nothing else going on. You're probably at work. If you're driving, let it go. If you're not driving, it takes 2 seconds. All right. Imagine dropping game like this for an hour. All right. Slightly more effort, right? Slightly more effort. And just sit drooling on the phone, right? Drop a like real quick. Let the algo know. Let it get this sent out to more people. There are 5 trader streams happening right now where somebody is just sitting here, just mouth breathing, not saying shit, talking about complete nonsense. We've covered three geopolitical crises. We've covered a presidential election and the implications of all the different candidates on markets and on geopolitical relationships. We talked about social pressures. We talked about I showed you guys the CME Fed Watch tool as a predictor for Fed rates. I did miss this trade, kind of, waiting for a pullback, and now it's obviously flying, but that's cool. Did call out this US 30 trade, which is beautiful. This thing looks like it might come back in for one more touch. I would take partial profits if I was you guys. There's a lot of upside. There's a lot of upside here, but now, matter of fact, protect the trades, but this thing still has some room to go. Called the NAS trade. This one was called on Sunday. Beautiful work. Euro USD was called on Sunday. The DXY is bullish, heading towards our magnets. So not only are we calling every single currency and every single trade and every geopolitical event and every political update. What the fuck else? What do you got? What else do you guys want? You guys want me to do a fucking backflip? What do you guys need? No, I'm really just asking for an honest answer. Like what else do you guys want? I'm gonna fucking sing karaoke? What the fuck is RVSN? Rail Vision? What the fuck do I care about? I care about Rail Vision. Okay, I got the likes are not for me. This isn't a circus. Like I'm not looking for like flowers to get jumped in. The algorithm does not promote this stream to people unless people are interacting, commenting, hitting the like button, something, or just hitting the subscribe button. And so there are tons of streams out here, like I said, that are really not providing any value. They can say as much as they want. They can talk as much shit as they want. They're really not providing any useful information. And so I would much rather people get access to this than something else. So straight up, say US 30 is flying. Yeah. It's almost like the strategy works, right? It's almost like the strategy works. I said I'm not a US 30 trader, but if I was, this would be the easiest trade of my life. Yeah, I meant that one. I'm a 21-year-old student that is trading, and here I have learned a lot from you. Good stuff, algo, cats, because the people that are paying attention are going to make money. And everybody who's just here waiting for some magical moment in their life to change, like something to just drop from the sky and change their life, are going to be eating dirt in 6 months. Take good notes, make money, and that's really all there is to it. If you're doing anything but that on these streams, if you're not at least learning something on how to make money or making money directly, you're wasting your fucking time. It really just is that simple, right? I'm not your friend. I want to tell you guys, I'm not your friend. I'm not your fucking guru. Get that out of your mind. I am here to get y'all paid. I'm here to give you just enough information to go do this on your own, to go and recreate these results. If you really want the detailed plan, you hit the masterclass and come learn it straight up. Everybody who's here for any purpose other than that, go and follow one of these other dudes in the industry. They're very happy to entertain people with no value whatsoever. You want to become a self-sufficient trader? If you want to make decisions for yourself and take responsibility for your future, here you're in the right place. Desi said just a handstand. All right. Fuck it. Handstand it is. We're making it happen, people. I'm doing my handstand. If I break my neck, everybody can go and blame Desi. All right. So I get screws in the neck. Desi, it's all you. Not yet. The 30-minute doesn't have wait. Okay. I want a prop firm that I can rely on. Kind of hard right now. Gabe, trust me, bro. I get it. I get it. I have a personal little issue with some of these guys in the industry. So I'm doing something a little bit different. I don't know if I can be the best example with what I'm about to do, which is basically I'm going to sign up for their prop firms and rob them blind. I'm going to make them fucking pay me every single dime without any of the excuses because they can't kick my account off. They can't say that I broke a rule because I'm going to be doing it live, and I'm gonna make these people pay the fuck up, and I'm going to make them pay me a lot. So that's this. I have a personal kind of thing that I'm doing. That's me. I'm petty like that. I will set up an account with Oanda here pretty soon and just start trading on a regulated platform. And I want to see if Oanda offers futures. If it doesn't, I'll find a futures broker as well. Matter of fact, I did call somebody yesterday. I called Creedy, Darren Creedy. Great guy, by the way. Everybody go follow Creedy Trades. Awesome dude. Let me show you. Let me get the name of this futures firm. Let me see. Hop Step or Apex? Well, speaking of Apex, don't we have a meeting with Apex? Pretty sure we have a meeting with Apex for the summit. That sounds so familiar.
We do.
We do?
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. Hop Step. Okay. Those are two. I have not tried either of these firms. I'm not promoting either of those firms. Let me make it extremely clear. This is from an individual that I trust highly, and he trades my exact strategy on futures firms. And so he has given me those recommendations. Those are two that I will be trying out on here. But I'm petty. Okay. Headstand or handstand is very healthy, activates the brain. Bro, the last thing I'm doing is a fucking handstand on a stream. You think a man of my stature is gonna be out here letting my shorts fly and dangle on the stream? I fall over. You guys got me clipped up. Bro, people are waiting for me to make any fucking slip up to have an. You think falling and breaking my neck on a stream, brother? The memes, brother. Can we just agree the memes would go crazy? Can we just agree the memes would go nuts? Fucking hell. Now, I am unbelievably coordinated. I'm a specimen of human performance. So I can't even imagine myself not landing the handstand. What do I look like? Being upside down and whatnot. That's madness. 54 likes and 113 people watching. What do I gotta wrote? Like, what do I gotta do? This is crazy. I'm gonna just hop off and enjoy my day, y'all. Everybody who is taking solid information away from this, you guys already wrote down the notes. You guys already got the trades. We're all cool. The rest of the people that don't want to support, that are just blindly, just kind of silently watching. And by the way, that's a lot of people that have been talking shit about me, and I see y'all on socials. And the only way you can talk shit about me is by watching the streams because you're calling out stuff that happens on the streams that are very deep in the stream. So I know that some of y'all are here watching on another account or whatever it might be. Hello. Good morning. Good to have you guys on here. Just don't think that we don't see y'all. If anyone hadn't told you, I appreciate these lives, bro. A lot of gems. Thank you. My guy, you already know that's what we do it for. People do show their support, but nowhere near as much as if you make a mistake, bro, you'll have people that you've never even heard of. Fucking random heathens from under the floorboard start popping out. Hundreds of thousands of people, tens of thousands of views and comments and all this negativity. Where the fuck are any of those people now? Right? Like nobody gives a shit about what you do positively in this world. They just wait, and if you're doing something right, everyone just writes you off, and then they just wait for the one moment that you have some kind of something, and then everybody jumps in, and then they just leave you for dead. And then you have a chance to have a comeback story, and everybody loves and supports a comeback story. Yeah, this is not a fucking superhero movie. I'm coming back molly-whopping people. I'm coming back disrespectful as fuck. I'm coming back and making these people pay me with their firms. I am unbelievably petty like that. Oh, Roy, maybe you should have a bit more humility, and maybe that you should learn from your lesson that calling out all these people has led you to a very difficult place. Yeah, I'm for it. Okay, so. This is just where I stand. A lot of people got very, very nasty. And when we do something right, like win for 100 fucking days in a row, nobody's around to really support, comment, to tag us on the story. It's only 3 people that tag us on the story when we win. And Mike, Max, Bryce, a few other folks. That's it. Right? If I didn't call you, you guys know I'm thinking about y'all. But when it's negative, it's all down. So I'm not going to come back and be like, oh, it's all good and haha, let's get all the support now. No, I'm coming out swinging. Right? When you win this year, when you finally come back from whatever you're going through, be relentless and come back in a undeniable fashion. That's my advice to everybody. Come back in undeniable fashion and be ruthless when you do. If anyone hasn't told what, this is my first time here. So far, so good. I like what I'm hearing. Joel, welcome to the streams. Good to have you on here. Yeah, you're in for a treat. Y'all better like that. Only gems. What's the equivalent of a Fed watch tool for other major currencies? To be honest, I have no clue. I'm not going to sit here and pretend. Maybe there's some kind of central bank watch tool for the BOJ. Let me see what we can find. There's got to be something here. Oh, Franklin Templeton has a central bank watch. Franklin Templeton is one of those mutual fund companies, kind of like Fidelity, kind of like Vanguard. Used to invest in some Franklin Templeton for some of my clients back in the day. Yeah, their fixed income funds are awesome. Very low fee. Q4 2023. Huh. Okay. So it looks like Franklin Templeton dropped something for their central bank watch. Kind of just take a tour around the world. You got your Bank of Japan's, you got the ECB, Bank of Canada. This Verges Bank? What are we doing here? The Norges Bank. We have the RBA. We have the Royal Bank of New Zealand. Inflation outlook perception. The fuck are they doing? The Dove Hawk ranking. Oh, this is pretty cool right here. They got a dovish versus hawkish meter for each of the currencies. Oh, this is super dope. Good looks whoever asked this. We got the Fed. The Fed's not even hawkish. The Fed is actually starting to talk about rate cuts going into this year. So I don't even know where they're coming from. The Bank of Canada, hawkish. The ECB just started being hawkish. The Bank of Japan is obviously dovish, meaning that they want to go, they're easier on monetary policy. That one we've known. They actually have a big problem here. And it looks like the People's Bank of China is having this even worse issues than the Bank of Japan. Yo, this whole talk about China being the next global dominant world power, back in the 80s, there was a rumor that Japan was going to be the global dominant superpower. They were going to overtake US dominance and the US dollar was going to fall. China is following the same exact playbook here, where their demographics, meaning the amount of like the makeup of the people that they don't have enough young people to run the economy. Their older people are living a lot longer than they used to. And because of the one-child policy, basically you don't have enough young people to keep the show rolling. That's a demographic issue. On top of that, there's a bunch of supply chain issues that happened during COVID and post-COVID, where a lot of countries realized we were too dependent on China for key goods. They ended up decoupling and going back to national or to domestic manufacturing. So China is dealing with something very similar to what Japan had to go through in the 80s and 90s. And this is just not good. And definitely is not good for some kind of BRICS currency. We don't want to use Chinese monopoly money in the first place. We definitely don't want to use Chinese monopoly money when they are kind of like actively making it worse, when they're actively easing monetary policy and pumping more money in, further devaluing their local currency. So this is a pretty good tool. Not that Franklin Templeton is you know what I'm saying? It's like the end all be all. I would trust Bank of America's foreign research team more, but let me look into this and see if I can find something. This is pretty interesting stuff. Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Melissa. Good afternoon, Melissa. You think we could look for cells? Could you please do a quick recap of the Iowa caucus results? Yeah, see if we're going to do that. I kind of beat that one down. I kind of went through it a lot, but I'll give like a summary of what I already went through. We could look for a sells, but I'll be honest, don't trade against the trend. Okay, and so the overall trend is bullish. The overall trend is bullish, and that's why the main moves that I was looking for are these buys. And I was also looking for a buy here, but it never really hit that entry. I took a short position last night and I made money, and there was also a short position last week. After the market tries to break down once, break down twice, and the market continues to hold support, hold support, hold support, and you ask yourself, are we at a daily buying zone or selling zone? You keep looking left. Okay, you see buying level. When the market is below, it's selling. When it's above, it's buying. And we continue to maintain above that zone. This is the inverted head and shoulders on the higher time frame. We're most likely going to continue to push to the upside. So I'm not going to sell it again. I already made money last night on the shorts. Instead, what I would like to do is see a potential retest of these lows, which I don't think is going to happen. And then more than likely, we're going to have a push and break above the zone, come back to retest inside the range, and then this is where I'm going to be taking my next buy opportunity. So wait for the next impulse, wait for the corrective, and then take the next impulse to the upside. Okay. I think the US is dovish because that's the Q4 2023. Maybe they haven't updated it yet. But if you see that, look how long. Look how long market's been bullish since October of 2023. So the market has been pricing in the rate cuts since October and all the way through November. They were expecting 7 or 8 rate cuts. And then we kind of had a little bit of a slowdown. Now things are slowing down because the market has accepted that there's all these rate hikes or these rate cuts, and it's already pricing it in because of that anticipated kind of market activity. But then once everybody kind of figures out it's only going to be 4 rate cuts, and then the actual effect of the policy starts to play into the economy. Because look, they raise rates. The market gets hyped, but we're not even going to see the effects in the economy until months later. All of us haven't bought a home. We haven't bought a car. Some of you have bought a car, but most have not. The rates are way too high. Those are the effects of policies they made 6, 7 months ago. And there's some people that haven't really made a decision yet, and it's still playing into the economy, the overall slowdown in lending and borrowing, the overall slowdown in hiring and layoffs. So this is what we're getting exposed to right now is like if they started cutting rates, we wouldn't see the effects for another 6 months. And so the market is still expecting rate cuts. They're still expecting a dovish Fed, and they have been since last year, as we can see by the forward-looking market momentum. Cool. Cool. All right, ask me good questions, or we're gonna be hopping off here. If you guys have a good question, let me know. C4, you know I always got your back. I'm gonna give you a quick breakdown of the Iowa caucus. Trump won by a landslide. Very surprising that DeSantis ranked above Haley in that race. To be honest, I would have said Vivek would have ranked higher than DeSantis, and that's just something that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. Now, the DeSantis campaign is bought and paid for by a lot of these mega donors for the Republican Party, and these mega donors basically just shift their money from one candidate to the next based on who they think can beat a certain person. The establishment does not like Trump because he just goes around and lifts the lid on everything, and nobody likes that. Okay, if someone did that to any industry, hiring practice, like let's say sports, you really start looking through contracts. You really start looking under the hood of how they do hiring and firing. You start looking at potential racism and a lot of these things. You start to look at a lot of the shit, and they put a microscope, and you have one person who is just calling everybody out. The world, like that person's is not gonna be the most popular. That's exactly what happened with Vivek and with Trump. So $65 million was put into DeSantis's campaign, and over 70 million was put into Haley's campaign. They dumped it from DeSantis because they realized he wasn't going to win. They took all their money and they put it behind Haley, and Haley came in freaking third. Imagine you're a billionaire mega donor and you're trying to play this puppeteering game, and you're like, oh, I'm the next George Soros. Look at me, right? And then you put all your money behind DeSantis, and DeSantis fucking bombs on stage because the guy doesn't even want to do this. He got coerced into this. And then you're like, we fucked up. Let me just waste a bunch more money and put it behind this warmonger, Nikki Haley. And they put all their money behind her, and they're like, yeah, she's going to wash DeSantis. It's going to be her and Trump neck and neck. And the guy that you tried to strip, okay, Vivek, the guy that you tried to keep off the polls, you tried to keep off the stage, still comes up with 8% with a grassroots movement. They didn't fund him a fucking dime, and he still did that. That's called a return on investment. Also, imagine that you dumped your money from DeSantis and put it all into Haley. Just for her to lose to DeSantis, he comes back and puts on a show in Iowa. So this to me is like, I think the country is literally voting against, if the mainstream media is pushing a certain person, everybody else is going to get the votes. Because right now everyone's propping up Nikki Haley. People are voting for DeSantis just because it's just fuck the mainstream media. And it's fuck the establishment of the Democratic or the Republican National Convention. There is the alert on NASDAQ, and this is where we're going to see that pullback here. All right, just to show you guys some accuracy. I know you guys love accuracy, and I know you guys follow everybody, all these gurus who want to talk all this shit, and these guys are very accurate, right? Let me show you real accuracy here. I get it. Relax. Oof. It's hard to miss an alert. It's hard to miss an alert when they sound like that. All right. So again, you don't sell because when the market is moving aggressively in the direction of the overall trend, you want to focus on only taking trades that are in the direction of that trend. The reason I do these certain exercises to figure out where the market is likely to retrace or to turn around or to have some kind of just like a quick correction before it continues is just for me to figure out, if I was buying, where is the last place where I'd want to be taking profits and then calling it a day. And this would be that price. Everything after here is going to be extra credit, because if we have a straight breakthrough, then it's just going to be a retest and pop off later. I don't want to take shorts against the direction of the trend, but I do want to anticipate this pullback. Now, this pullback comes down to the 38, and then it just gets stuck here, and it can't break the 38. I'm seeing the inverted head and shoulders. I'm seeing the 88.6 strategy, and I might take a long from right here. Keep the show rolling. Okay. What altcoins do I think will pump? I'm not here to do that. I'll save that for the Chart Addicts members, let you guys know exactly what I'm invested in going into 2024, 2025. And so what I'm going to do is I'll put out a pick or a list of picks. Damn. I'll put out a list of picks for 2024, and I do think that 2025 is going to be a banger year for crypto. If you're not already in, then I would take the opportunities here whenever the market dips to accumulate more. That's personally what I'm doing. Every time the market has a dip, just like we've seen here, okay, from 50K all the way down to 40K. This is a chance to buy up as much as you can at 40K before the market continues. Now, if the market drops down to 30, drops down to 20, these are dollar cost averaging opportunities for us to be able to make way more money. Okay? Buying it at the highs and buying it as it starts moving, that's not how you get rich. That's not how you make real money. Buying Bitcoin and just having Bitcoin is not how you get rich. You buy Bitcoin by buying it at a good price, let's say the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and then when it's at 100 plus, now you're sitting in a pretty good bag and a pretty good entry. Said Habibi, thank you for the gems. NAZ, right back at you. What are your main sources of news that I use? It's something called the Chart Addicts live streams every morning at 9:30, market open. Mega Donors on suicide watch right now. Didn't see much of Vivek, unfortunately, but hoping he's in close second. No, he came in fourth. He came in fourth place, and he had to drop out of the race. Vivek Ramaswamy is no longer in the Republican primaries, and he's no longer running for president because he realized he ain't gonna win. And the American people, really, guys, if the American people are voting for Nikki Haley over Vivek, we deserve whatever fucking problems we have coming to us. Let me just tell you guys right now. I'm not a naive person where I'm like, oh, maybe we'll all figure it out. No. Trust me, I have a very good understanding of how bad this can get. My family moved to this country for a reason. Because America had its eye on the ball. America has lost the fucking plot. And we have a very small window here to get our shit together before we allow dumb things like CBDCs and the national registries and all these other regulations to start coming in. High tax rates to keep the national debt climbing so that we have to pay these massive interest payments every year and pay our entire federal budget for interest payments. Our generation going up is going to have tax rates in the 60s and 70% just to service the debt. This is real shit. If you guys think a 60 or 70% tax rate is just like fuck it, we'll deal with that later. If you guys think that that's true, you got no clue. The only thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to get as rich as humanly possible and investing in real estate and invest in stocks and invest in a bunch of assets so I don't have to pay income tax for shit in the future. Because God forbid, they're going to try to tax the wealthiest in this country. And we've all been working for 10, 15, 20 years. And we have massive wealth. And they want to come tax us at that point. Hell no. So most people in retirement typically have a ton of assets that pay them, and they can pay capital gains tax on some of those retirement assets, but they don't have a high income because your income tax, like if you're making a lot more money in income later in your life, they're charging you 60, right now they're charging you damn near 50% in taxes. In the future, it's only getting worse. We have a window to get rich before it becomes increasingly harder, and they're just the door is closing and closing and closing. This is real. You're either going to be on this side or the other side. And so that's why everybody can talk, everyone can have an opinion, everyone can say whatever the fuck they want to say. You're either on one side or the other.
Huh?
You're not gonna, mute yourself, man.
The what?
God damn. Bro. You're not doing this. You're either going to be on one side or the other. This is real talk. So you guys can keep watching whatever, you guys can keep listening to whoever and doing whatever the fuck you want. You will be on one side or the other. And everything that you consume, the content you pay attention to, the actions that you take, the places you decide to spend your money and invest your money, all right? Not going out on the weekends and putting that money in responsible places. educating yourself on how the world works so you can position yourself the best for the future. That's what's going to put you on one side versus the other. The middle class is slowly dwindling. The difference between lower class and middle class used to just be owning a home. If you want to own a home nowadays, you got to be making double what you used to be making. You got to be in the upper class now. Come on. You're going to buy the dip on residency in another country and sell the top by getting out the United States? Fuck no. Look, at the very end of the day, there's nothing that's going to be better than America. Okay? Now, for business, yeah, you're going to have to be very smart. I do have a dual citizenship. I am a Lebanese citizen as well. I was born in Lebanon. I wasn't even born here. And so I understand what it's like to have multiple citizenships. But let's be real. I'm a big fix America and not just fucking move kind of person. For every other country, it's so far beyond fixing that you just leave. That's why everybody leaves their fucking countries to come here. Everyone wants to complain and bitch and cry on social media, but then you can go, you have the luxury to cry, bitch, and moan on social media. Let's take a look at why America is the greatest country on earth. You guys want to play this game with me real quick? Number one, this is the only country in the world that's not founded on an ethnic ideal. It's really founded on a set of principles that everybody believes in. Now, most of you have traveled outside the country. So you know that a lot of the luxuries that we take for granted in America, like being able to say anything I want on the stream and being able to curse these different people and call Nikki Haley a fraud and all these different things, that's a luxury that you don't have in other countries. This isn't like, oh, I'm just exercising my freedom of speech. Oh, you're fucking stupid if you think that's going to slide anywhere else in the world. Okay? And so the ideals of being a human, being treated as an individual in a holistic society, having an intrinsic right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are not guarantees anywhere else in the world. If you come from Judeo-Christian background, if you're Christian or you grew up in that sense, you understand the individualism is preached as part of the religion. So this country's ideals are really just in line with we're humans, we all have a thought, we all have opinions and feelings, we all have an intrinsic right to live, to be left alone, to do what we want to do. They'll fucking laugh you out of the country somewhere else for saying these things. So this isn't a country that's built on a specific race. It's the only country in the world that's not built on a specific race. It's built on these set of ideals. And if you believe in these principles, you're welcome here in this country. At least this is how it used to be. Now I got a bunch of fucking socialists taking over, talking about, oh, this country sucks. We should be socialist. Go to Canada. You're here for a reason. Right? So now let's talk about this on a logistical scale for geopolitical reasons. Number one, America has the best borders in the world. We have very friendly neighbors with Mexico and Canada. Yes, we got cartels smuggling fentanyl on the southern border. If you want to activate the U.S. military to go deal with that, it would take 24 hours to have every single cartel member and their family lined up against the wall and turn them into the wall on the southern border. If this was really, really their priority, which it's not. Now, we do have friendly neighbors, Canada and Mexico. Now, we also have two great geographical borders, which is the Atlantic and the Pacific. We gonna see you coming. If you look at somewhere like China, for example, look at the hostility in that region. You have very hostile neighbors there between North Korea, between some of the other states there that are constantly in conflict, and then you have the conflict in the South China Sea between the U.S. embargo and Taiwan. Not a good place to be. Take a look at Russia. They say, oh, Russia is going to take over. 90% of Russia is uninhabitable forest. Okay? Now, you look at their neighbors. You think they have NATO encroaching on their territory every day. That's why they're engulfed in a war right now. Look at, oh, Iran's going to take over. Yeah. With that geopolitical situation, look at India. India has a demographic issue. Way too many young people, way too many mouths to feed, right? There's demographic issues everywhere. America has a declining population, yes, but that's why through thoughtful immigration, we can make up the difference. We need another 1,300 doctors this year, or else we're going to be falling behind. All right, bring them in. Let's open up the draft. America has a lot to look for. All right, let's go through energy. Oh, but Roy, we need other places for energy. The fuck we do. We pump out more oil a year than we consume. The reason we sell it is because we can import cheap oil and we can sell ours for way more. But if we really needed to, and we were all going to pay higher prices for gas, we could pump it out here in America. We could manufacture here too. You guys understand? And so look, I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, I'm just gonna have 15 different passports. You got to learn the game here, and you got to protect the sanctity of this country. That's why protecting the courts is so important. They're trying to do Trump dirty, right? It's a massive fucking scandal. The government is turning on a president. If they can turn on him, what could they do to me? That's how, right? That's how some people think. Motherfucker, he's about to go to the Supreme Court. He's gonna appeal this entire case. The Supreme Court is gonna side with him because this is all a political sham. And that's how this country works. Yeah, you can go down in court for something. But if you know you're right, you just appeal it. You go to the Court of Appeals or the circuit courts. Then you go to the Supreme Courts. And the Supreme Court will always side on the behalf of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and the rights that those gave us. That's straight up. Right? The fuck I want to go to Canada for? That's crazy. They have poutine. The fuck? From maple syrup? That's what you got? 75% tax rates on business? Come on. Come on. All right. Hopefully some folks took partial profits on the US 30 trade. Had a nice pump up, but now it looks like it's coming back for the pullback. But NASDAQ, on the other hand, did we even have a slowdown? Not even a slowdown here. You can see we stopped at the 88.6, had this little dip, and then just continued straight through. This is why take trades in the direction of the trend. Right? You can find highs and lows everywhere. You can find higher time frame directions everywhere. However, if you're trading against the direction of momentum and against the direction of the trend, you're going to get caught in candles like this. Rules are there for a reason. That's why, he said, hi, first time on your channel, lots of value here. Greatly appreciated. We'll be back already. Hit the like. Awesome stuff. Welcome, Mathieu. That's why they keep trying to raise the minimum wage. It doesn't move people up. It raises the poverty level up to the middle class and puts them in poverty. Okay, so I agree with you kind of, Johnny Dollar, but really it's more about inflation. So the reason why they're raising the minimum wage is obviously because the price of living has gone up. And if you're not going to pay people a living wage, they're going to go somewhere else. And so you have to have a floor. But major corporations can afford a higher minimum wage. It's the small mom and pop shops that can't. And they're the ones who get crushed by all this. And so if we want to preserve a localized, like a community culture in this country, which I think we should, Amazon should not be the only source for all this bullshit. We can't have just one central source for stuff. If we want to do that, we can't have these laws. So like the COVID laws, for example, Amazon could afford it, right? Because hands-off delivery, they'll just show it up and put it on your door. A mom and pop restaurant can't afford to just shut down for 3-4 months. The fuck are they going to do? Right? And so a lot of these policies they're trying to maintain some kind of floor. You're right. They're trying to maintain the poverty floor. But in reality, all they're doing is they're making inflation worse, because if you're going to give people a guaranteed amount of money to spend, and now they have more money to spend, they're going to keep paying the higher prices. You know that if you're not getting paid enough, and you and a lot of people in your industry are not getting paid enough to live, and you can't keep buying stuff, you're going to stop buying stuff. And do you know if enough people stop buying stuff, they have to bring the prices down? So by raising the minimum wage, they're actually making the inflation crisis worse, because they're giving the ability for people to keep up with these high prices, as opposed to forcing the retailers to bring the prices down by reducing demand. You guys see? But it's a lot easier to tell people, hey, I'm going to double your wage versus, hey, we're going to go into a little recession real quick to fix this problem, right? You're in a fucking hospital, and they're like, yeah, we're just going to give you morphine. It's going to be okay. Versus, yo, we're going to have to detox off all these things. We're going to have to cut you up real quick, right? One of those is a much easier sell. Crush it, Roman. Got to get off for work. Poutine and maple syrup caught the strays. I'm sorry, guys. I'm done. I'm done. No more strays. I love Canadians. You guys are great people. Some of the sweetest people out there. I'm talking about your government. And when I talk about the Chinese, I'm talking about the CCP. I'm not talking about the Chinese people. Tons of respect for the Chinese people. Tons of respect for the Canadian people. But your governments do not have your best interest at heart. And neither do the Americans. I'm sitting here throwing massive bricks in glass houses. Okay. Said, man, why you always cutting me up over here, Roman? I'm sorry, bro. All the Canadians caught strays. I love you people. Do the fib on the 4 hour time frame on NASDAQ. The 88.6 fib level actually got tapped. Lessman, where have you been, man? Where have you been? But where do you think all the sells that we took yesterday night, what do you think that we've been talking about since Sunday? Come on. All right. Cool, cool, cool. All right, y'all. I gotta hop off. It's a beautiful day here in sunny Florida. If you guys are out there, it's snowing where you're at. Stay strong. I used to be in those environments, weathering the storms, dealing with the cold, and I was miserable too. But I want to let you guys know, keep your fucking head focused on your goals. The sooner that you get the work done, the sooner you can escape your present reality. And not escape it, but move on to your better future. A lot of people are at work, they're tired. Don't go home and drink. Don't go home and escape. Don't get on your phone. The sooner you stay focused, the sooner that you actually do the things that are going to set you free, the sooner you can get out of your current circumstance. Don't put it off any longer. Let today be that driver for you so you guys can be down here in Florida or in any other beautiful weather place in the world during the winters and you can make the best and the most of your life too. Don't put it off. Today's the day. All right, crush it, everybody. Catch you guys around. Take it easy.